as well.
Yeah, she messaged saying that, so I wonder. I thought they'd be here by now, but
What does that make
They gotta
you?
pick up someone else as well. So.
okay.
Leave animals out of the supply chain. Yeah, that's so simple. It's like we have the food here, like the crops, they feed the animals, and then the animals feed us. What if we just take out the animals?
Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting nervous as fuck. Yeah, right, share. Cool. Right, I gotta share this to.
And I do a lot by standing here.
We're here.
It's not a diet.
Hello.
It's not a religion.
Good. We're here.
It's not a diet.
Hello. Good fucking morning. Alright, what the fuck's going on then? So we're here. At the slaughterhouse again. Looking at this bullshit. So, do animals deserve respect? That's the question we're asking today. We're exposing the truth of what happens here. I'm outside a slaughterhouse in Guildford. Yeah, it's not too bad at the moment. Not seen any animals go in, but I'm sure they're coming. Obviously, if anyone has any questions, please ask. 1 viewer. Probably just other vegans, I'm sure. Welcome if you're here watching. Yeah, so do animals deserve respect? If you think animals do deserve respect, then is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk or their eggs? Would you feel respected if that was happening to you? Alright, Layla, wait, let's make Layla a mod here. You can review and remove channels in the pod. Cool. There you go, Layla, you're now mod. We've got 7 viewers. So, I'm outside a slaughterhouse. I'm in Guildford. Morning Jack, CFC. If anyone has any questions, obviously, please ask. But yeah, ultimately we're asking, do animals deserve respect? And is it possible to respect them when you continue to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? So yeah, I'm outside a slaughterhouse right now. I don't know what they're just pouring out of some barrel there. I imagine it was probably body parts of an animal. Well, I'm outside a slaughterhouse just trying to show people the reality of where a lot of their food may come from, a reality of what happens to animals, right? So this slaughterhouse in particular, they have cows that come in here. Yeah. So we're just exposing the truth, essentially, as to what's happening to these animals. So we've got 6 votes on the poll. Most people are saying yes. I think we've got 1 person that said no, animals don't deserve respect. Well, 21 viewers. So yeah, ask me questions. So I'm outside a slaughterhouse. We're here talking about what happens to animals, non-human animals, and how do we justify what we do to them? How do we justify taking their lives? How do we justify slitting the throat of a cow? So the votes are coming in quick. You vegan? Hello Fishing Orgle. Yes, I am vegan. If you love animals, then being vegan is the only way you can truly love them. Yeah, I am tired, Layla. I'm not vegetarian, Jack, so vegetarianism is a diet. I'm vegan. People often misconstrue veganism as a diet, but veganism is more than just a diet. It's about not exploiting animals in any way possible. So that's not just the food, that's the clothes that you wear, the skincare products that you may put on your skins, that's aquariums, zoos, anything that involves the exploitation of an animal. That is what we try our best to avoid as vegans. So Fishing Gorgle, you say you're not vegan, but you still respect animals. Is it possible to respect animals when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? That's a question I would ask. Is it possible to respect them when you dictate their lives and have autonomy over their lives? Is it possible to respect them when you send them to slaughter? Is it possible to respect them when you consume their bodies? Would you feel respected if that was you in their position? If you were the one being told when and where you can go, what you can eat, when you give birth? Who's my favourite Premier team? I don't follow football, Ashley. Yeah, we're here today talking about animals and whether or not they're deserving of respect. We've got a truck coming in now. Fortunately, there are no animals. Okay, Fishing Gorgle, you consume plants, so that's a living thing. I mean, there's definitely a massive difference between plants and animals, right? Animals have a brain, animals have a central nervous system. Plants do not have those things. Also, you know, what's the difference here between like plants and animals? You're just deflecting from the fact that you eat animals, right? So because I eat plants, do we justify that eating, because I eat plants, does that make it okay for you to continue to consume animals and plants? Chris Britt, you tried to be vegan, but it's impossible. I guess I'd ask what's impossible about it. What did you struggle with? If there is anything you struggled with being vegan, how could you overcome those obstacles, right? We have access to the internet, Google, ChatGPT. You can get answers to anything that you might struggle with. And again, if it's impossible, I guess I'd ask what your motivations were for being vegan, right? If we are truly connecting with the animals and we're motivated by their well-being and motivated by, well, not necessarily their well-being, but we're motivated by, you know, giving respect to them that they deserve, then I feel like veganism is the opposite of impossible and it's the only way, right? Vegan stuff's a lot more expensive. Vegan stuff isn't more expensive. Like, what you know, when you go to the supermarket, what are the cheapest things in the supermarket? We've got vegetables, we've got lentils, we've got beans, we've got rice, pasta, oats, plant-based milks, although they're not technically milks anymore, but you understand what I'm saying, right? These are the cheapest ingredients in the supermarket. But regardless of whether they're the cheapest or not, does the price of something dictate like what's morally right and wrong? You know? So Chris Britt, milk and eggs were the biggest obstacle. Okay, so we've changed from impossible to the biggest obstacle, so we're already partly the way there. Jack, we will see animals going in. They don't stop for very long here, but I'll try my best to capture these animals before they get sent to their slaughter. So milk and eggs are the biggest obstacle for you, Chris. Was it Chris? Yeah. Again, maybe it's an obstacle, right? But it's definitely something you can overcome when you think about where these products come from, when you think about what is necessary for the production of dairy, the impregnation of female cows, the removal of their babies so we can take their milk, and then the cycle that's perpetuated again and again. You know, forcibly impregnated, child removed from them, we take the milk. Once the milk production starts to slow down, they're forcibly impregnated again. The children that are taken from them, if they're a male, they will be killed within the first 6 weeks of their lives, raised for veal. If they're female, then they will suffer the same fate as their mother, right? They'll be raised for milk production, they'll be artificially inseminated, and they'll have their babies taken away from them. I'll subscribe to show your support. I love what you're doing, but I'm still not going to go vegan. Well, Fishing Gorgle, if you actually loved what I was doing, then you would go vegan, right? If animals are deserving of respect, then being vegan is the only way to show that respect. What would stop you from going vegan is the question I would ask. It's about rewiring your way of thinking. Yes, I mean, I agree with you, Layla, but also like I don't feel like people do need to rewire how they think. I think they already think the way we need to think, right? Everyone agrees that murder is bad, and that, you know, taking the life of a sentient being is bad, and none of us could justify it, or most of us couldn't do it ourselves. So how do you justify it, right? I guess it's not about rewiring your thinking, but aligning your values with your actions. Now I was indoctrinated. I mean, yeah, I guess we were all indoctrinated, right? So the question I'm asking today is, do animals deserve respect? Let me just... So we've seen a couple trucks and stuff go in, but we haven't seen any animals, which is a blessing. I'm not sure I'm gonna handle that today. So Jack CFC, yes, animals deserve respect. So you agree? You know, I mean, most people do agree, right? Most people do agree that animals deserve respect, but it's our actions which doesn't align with that respect. And maybe it's something you've not asked yourself, it's something you've not questioned before, and this might be your first time. So it's like, is it respectful when we consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? Is it respectful when we, you know, exploit their lives for our own means, especially when it's not necessary? We don't need to consume them, we don't need to test on them, we don't need to imprison them in zoos and aquariums. None of this is necessary, right? It's for our own taste pleasure, it's for our own entertainment, and none of it is justifiable. LeBron James hairline, thanks Coach Darts, welcome to the chat. Do you think animals deserve no respect? Jack CFC, you don't harm them yourself, which is true, right? But that's how you justify it, because you're not the one doing the harm, right? Support that harm. When you pay for it, you are justifying it, right? You are supporting it. You are voting for that to happen. You are voting for that suffering to happen to those animals for your taste pleasure. For a meal that you will consume and most likely forget within a few days, a day. You may forget it in the day, you know. I don't think he needed a timeout later, but you know, sure. I'd like to give people more of a chance to talk before we time them out, but yeah, so later doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, so we've had 14 votes in the polls. Do animals deserve respect? 14% have said no. I imagine that's around 1%, maybe 2. It's hard to say. I know what you're saying, and it will never change, unfortunately. Worldwide, people will continue to eat meat for years and years to come. Yeah, I hear that argument a lot, Jack, but does that justify your actions, right? If just because it's something that everyone else is doing, and maybe you feel by you changing nothing will change, does that justify your actions, right? Ultimately, in this world, all you can do is change your own actions and live to what you consider, you know, to be moral, and feel good within yourself, right? So it's regardless of whether or not the whole world will change or if everyone will change. All comes from you, right? Everything comes from you. If I carried on eating meat, I'd be a hypocrite, right? I'd be a hypocrite because I love animals. I'd be a hypocrite because I think animals deserve respect, and I want the best for all living beings, right? I don't want just the best for myself and all humans. I want the best for all living beings. I want everyone to thrive, right? So for my morals and for how I feel, that is, I have to be vegan, right? I don't care. I'm not going to base my actions on what everyone else is doing, right? So I base my actions on what I'd like everyone to do, right? I go vegan because I want to show people that it's possible, and I want everyone ideally to be vegan, right? So we can show these animals the respect they deserve. Do you know who Diddy is, brother? That's in P. Diddy? Like, yeah, sure. It's a shame, poor animals. Like, yeah, exactly, Jack. Like, it sounds like you understand. You do seem to recognise the individual animals there. but there's that disconnect between how you act and like how you feel, like, right? And you know, like I said, most people, this is their first exposure to this, so they've probably never considered it. But your actions are oppressing other animals, right? Your actions are exploiting their lives and themselves, and you have choices, right? You don't need to do this doesn't need to happen. So be one less person oppressing them. Exactly. Like, it's a process, right? For if you think that this is wrong and this is bad, then you have to. It starts with you, right? It's a pause for thought. Seeing that. That's all I can say. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're definitely understanding. It's about just understanding it from the perspective of the animals, right? If you were in their position, if it was your life that was being dictated, being exploited, if it was you that was being sent to slaughter, you know, how fast would you want people to change? How fast would you want people to recognize you and to stop exploiting you, you know? People, Dagger, hello, welcome to the chat. I don't know about people, I haven't heard any people screaming. When I was here last time, I didn't actually hear any animals, but it's very loud here. They've got trucks running. I'm not sure what they are. I imagine they're refrigerated trucks. There hasn't been any animals come into the slaughterhouse yet from around 8 o'clock. So I don't know. We'll see once they arrive, right? If anyone has any questions, obviously, about veganism, if they want to talk about slaughterhouses and animals, obviously, just please ask. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, did you do you mean animals? I'm assuming you meant animals, Dagger, not people. This is a slaughterhouse for animals. I don't think they do slaughterhouses for people. Maybe somewhere in the world, eh? Yeah. So, do animals deserve respect? And if you agree, how can you respect them when you continue to stream their flesh, their milk and their eggs? Yeah, I'm not sure like that. How are they slaughtered? So, I mean, I think it varies. The usual method for cows is they will have a stun gun to the head. Fucking, it actually stinks of shit in there, like literal shit. So, yeah. There's recycling solutions, eh? At least they're recycling. Fucking hell. How do they slaughter? So yeah, so they in a slaughterhouse, cows will have they have a stun gun put to their head, which is meant to stun them. Isn't necessarily always successful, and then after that they have their throat slit and they'll be hung up by their legs and the blood will be drained from their body. Yeah, so if you're more interested in knowing, on YouTube there's a documentary called Dominion. If you search that, you will find slaughterhouse footage, what happens inside these places. You can see footage of cows getting us bolted in the head, having their throats slit. You see pigs going into gas chambers. Do I believe that cows and pigs feel fear? 100%. You can see that fear, right? Watch Dominion, like I said, Dominion is on YouTube. It's available to watch on YouTube. And you can see the fear in those animals. You'll see the fear as they get pushed into gas chambers, as they have bolt guns put to their heads. But whether or not they do feel fear, is it still morally justifiable? Oh, is it still morally justifiable to kill an innocent animal that doesn't need to die to dramatically shorten their life? Yeah, so Dagger, definitely search Dominion, watch Dominion, realise what's going on, realise where a lot of your food will come from, realise that these animals are being exploited and there's no justifiable reason, right? It's not necessary for us to do it. So yeah, we're just out at a slaughterhouse today. Haven't seen any animals come in yet. The smell's not as bad as it was last time, but I imagine that's because there's no animals having their lives taken at the moment. So do animals deserve respect? If you think they're deserving of respect, how can you respect them when you continue to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? Got no trucks coming in at the moment. If anyone has any questions, of course, please ask. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to expose what's going on in these places, highlight the reality of this, just, well, abuse, essentially, right? Torture, abuse, murder. Like, these are words people don't like to hear. These are words people don't like to equate to what's going on. But that is the reality. These animals are abused, they are murdered, and they are tortured. Their lives, they're given no autonomy. They're not free to make their own decisions. They're not free to bond with their families. How do you feel personally about slaughterhouse? Well, I think it's disgusting, Dagger. Like, it's not necessary for us to do this. Animals are killed in the millions every single day. Every minute, I believe. Millions of animals are killed every minute. And it's not justifiable, right? We don't need to do it. I haven't consumed these animals. I've tried my best to not exploit these animals for 8 years now. What is your conclusion for a better way to eat meat? The better way to eat meat, there is no better way to eat meat, right? How do you kill something that doesn't want to die? How do you consume something or someone that doesn't want to die, right? You have to bring these animals into existence, which means artificial insemination, right? These animals aren't just breeding naturally in the millions. 60% of the population on the world is animals used for consumption, for human need, or need's not really the word I should use there. So we've got a car coming in now. Oh no, she's turning around. Truck coming out. Hello Nick, welcome to the chat. We're just outside a slaughterhouse right now. I'm not sure what is in that truck. Okay, Dagger. Interesting. Sounds like maybe perhaps you're thinking about these things and starting to understand these things. Right? We don't need to do what we're doing. We don't need to kill these animals in the millions, billions a year. It's completely unjustified. It's completely unnecessary. And there's no right way to murder. There's no right way to slaughter. Nick, do you think animals are deserving of respect? And if you do you think how do you respect an animal when you continue to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? From what I believe, I think we need meat in our diets, or we are just accustomed to this way of living. Yeah, Dagger, so we are just accustomed to this way of living, right? Like I said, I haven't eaten meat for 8 years. I'm evidence of that. I've got 2 other people with me here today. I'm not sure how long they've been vegan for. And just to reiterate, veganism isn't just a diet, right? Veganism isn't just not consuming animals or animal products. It is the philosophy as a whole of not exploiting animals. So that's also for animal testing, that's wearing their skin, that's going to zoos, anything that involves unnecessarily exploiting an animal. But yeah, we're just accustomed to it, right? We are just accustomed to it. We're raised on eating meat and we don't know any different. And it's just purely for a taste pleasure. And we don't think about the consequences. We don't think about the victims that are involved. Okay, Hayley, thank you. I don't know who that is, but I'll look them up later. Nick's, I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite young, but I'm thinking when I'm a bit older, I might become vegan. Because I kind of dislike some meats. It makes me feel weird and sick when I touch meat. Yeah, so that's interesting, Nick. Like, I'm not sure how old you are or why your age necessarily matters, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, and you probably don't like touching meat. It's because that's a dead body, right? You are touching a dead body of an animal that was once alive, that was once living, just like you and me, and you know, had its own thoughts and feelings and had its way of life and didn't want to die, right? Well, I can't say it didn't want to die based on the conditions that they live in. Maybe they did want to die, but yeah, you know, there's that connection there, right? So it's like, do you think animals deserve respect? And is it respectful to exploit them? Yeah, fuck you, mate. He thinks we're a wanker. Just swearing at me as he's driving by. I'm the wanker for not wanting to kill animals. I'm the wanker for not wanting animals to go to slaughter. Do live in the same way with fishes. Yes, Stagger. Like, all animals are individuals. Fish are no different from any other animal, right? They can think, they can feel, whether or not you think that. Am I Australian? No, I'm English. I'm in England. But yeah, I feel the same way about fish, Dagger. All animals, all sentient beings. It's not unnecessary, right? Fish have lives, they live in the sea, they have families. I'm sure they have wants and dislikes. So how do you justify it, right? In Australian. G'day, mate. Emily loves scooters. I'm not Australian, I'm English. I did live in Australia, but that's beside the point. I'm outside a slaughterhouse in the UK, and we're here just exposing the truth, right? We're talking about the reality of what happens to these non-human animals, and about how I'm sure everyone in this chat, or most people, are complicit in that, right? You support that, you pay for that, you allow that to happen. It's scooters, not soccer. What? No, it's soccer, mate. It's not scooters. Oh, wait, sorry, yeah. My bad. But Emmy loves soccer. Did I say scooters? I don't know. But do you think animals deserve respect, Emmy? That's the question. If you think they deserve respect, is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk, their eggs, you wear their skin, you buy products that are tested on them? Thanks, Nick. I'm just trying to raise awareness about what happens here, trying to expose the truth to about these animals, about how they don't need to die, they don't need to be exploited. It's completely unnecessary, and the sooner people realise that, the sooner we can stop doing these atrocities, right? The sooner we can stop just exploiting these animals unnecessarily. There's the smell. It's disgusting. It actually stinks all of a sudden. What has happened for that smell to come about? So again, obviously guys, more questions. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask them, because I'm here to answer. Do animals deserve respect? Can you respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? And if you think so, then please tell me how. Let's talk about it. Okay. Ignore anyone who says that you should stop, and it's annoying seeing people act like this. I'm on both sides. I feel we shouldn't kill animals for food, but some places sell fake meats. Okay, next, I'm not sure what you mean by that. You're on both sides? I feel we shouldn't kill animals for food, but some places sell fake meats. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but if you feel that we shouldn't kill animals for food, then stop supporting it, right? You don't have to pay for it. You don't need to support it. If that's how you feel, and that's what you want, then make other choices, right? You talk about food. Obviously, veganism is more than just food. Veganism is about exploitation of all animals. Um, yeah. Yeah, exactly, right. So you don't need to kill animals, right? We can still enjoy the same foods that we enjoy without the exploitation of an animal involved in that process, right? If you like burgers, you can get burgers, right? If you want bolognese, you can have bolognese, right? If you want burritos, you can have burritos. You don't need to limit yourself. You can still eat these same foods. It's just about taking that meal, looking at what in it is coming from an exploited animal, and removing that and replacing it with something else. You know, if you're eating chicken, you can have tofu instead. You can have seitan instead. You know, you can have lentils. You can use beans, right? You can get protein sources from all over the place. Like, none of it is necessary for us to like live healthy lives and to thrive. So, Nix, it sounds like you understand. I guess the question is what's stopping you then? What's stopping you from aligning your actions with your values? What's stopping you from living how you feel you should live, right? What's stopping you from not exploiting these animals? Because you could change today, you could change now. You know, it doesn't need to happen. Parents wouldn't like it. Oh yeah, I think you mentioned about being young, so I imagine you're still living at home with your parents, so it's probably difficult to make your own choices around food. You're 14. Yeah, well, I think you can. Standing up to your parents and telling them how you feel is potentially difficult, but it's definitely something you could do. And I guess in your position, right, you just have to try your best in every situation you can, right, and be mindful of that. I'm sure if you really truly told your parents you didn't want to eat these things anymore, then they wouldn't have a choice but to respect your decision. Like what you can do next is you can, talk to your parents about these things. Do some research on what happens, right? Watch Dominion. Dominion's on YouTube. There's slaughterhouse footage on there. You can see what happens to these animals. Show that to your parents. Eric Magnuson, welcome to the chat. Hi, mate. There's Cowspiracy, which talks about environmental impact. While environmental impact is important, it's not really the most important thing, right? These animals is what's most important, right? Their individual lives, their autonomy, they're being exploited. Regardless of whether this is good or bad for the environment, that doesn't change how this is justified, right? It doesn't change the moral obligation around it. Eric, do you think animals are deserving of respect? Well, when I move out, possibly 18 to 20, I'm going to become vegan. Amazing, Nick. That is, truly amazing. That's 4 years, right? For those 4 years, think about how many more animals will need to be exploited for you, right? If you want to be vegan and you make that connection, right, you can. It is possible to do it now, right? And we have the internet, so you can look it up how you can make those changes, what you can do. Information is more available than ever. Tricks Dark, welcome to the chat. Do you think animals deserve enough respect? It's a question I'm asking people today. I'm outside a slaughterhouse. We haven't seen any animals going in. Slow day at the slaughterhouse. It's a good day for the animals. But regardless, these animals are still being exploited. There's still hundreds of slaughterhouses around the country where animals are, being sent to slaughter unnecessarily. Yeah, Nick, watch Dominion. Dominion on YouTube. Can I comment in this chat? I don't know if I can. Doesn't look like I can. But Dominion. Watch Dominion on YouTube. I can't find a way to type in the chat, but he doesn't like killing animals either. So amazing. I mean, most people don't, right? Most people justify it because they don't have to see it and they don't have to do it. But when you show them the footage, they don't like it. If you ask them to do the killing, they won't. So how do you justify that? So watch Dominion. Dominion on YouTube. That's what changed me. That's what made me realise the reality. I thought I understood, but I really didn't. So we've got 5 people in the chat. If you guys want to message, say anything, I'm here to answer questions. I'm outside a slaughterhouse here in the UK. I'm asking if animals are deserving of respect. Yeah, that's no problem, Nix. It sounds like you've connected with something there, which is good to hear. Hello, Ella. Welcome to the chat. Do you think animals deserve respect? Yeah, so I do these streams like I'm not sure how often they are. So this is a project live stream. This is an event run by some activists where we get as many people as we can outside of slaughterhouses, exposing the truth, having these conversations, you know. Yeah, they do. So you do believe animals deserve respect, Ella? I'm assuming that you are someone that doesn't necessarily respect them though, right? You probably consume their flesh, you possibly wear their skin, and you probably buy products without thinking about whether or not they've been tested on animals. So is that respectful? Is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, milk and eggs? And if you do think it's possible, then how do you justify it, right? How would you justify that that's respectful? Outside the slaughterhouse, eh? Whose idea was this? Unfortunately, you're vegan. Oh, excellent, Ella. Amazing. That's what we love to hear. Welcome to the chat. I guess my next question, if you are vegan, are you active? You know, do you do activism? Do you go out and speak up for the animals? Do you know what I'm doing right now? This is Project Livestream. Is that something you're aware of? Project Livestream is a project of where people like me, we go outside slaughterhouses and we live stream. We live stream what's happening and we have conversations and we try to expose the truth as much as possible, right? So if you don't do any of those things, or if you've been thinking about doing those things, I definitely recommend giving it a go, right? These animals need us to speak up for them, and if we don't speak up for them, who will, you know? People have survived eating no meat for their whole lives. Exactly, Nix. Especially in this day and age where we can go to the supermarket and we have choices and we can buy things that don't involve exploitation of non-human animals. Mesman909, you're in denial of real world problems. I'm not sure what that means, Mesman, if you'd like to expand on that, but we are talking about real world problems right now. We're talking about non-human animals that are needlessly exploited, having their lives taken from them. Goodbye, Nix. Thanks for talking. It's, you know, go vegan. Talk to your friend about it. Spread the word. So, Ella, I guess you're not vegan. You can't spell steak properly, so I'm assuming you're a child. But just think about that steak. She. Did I say he? Sorry. They. That's probably a better use of words. Yeah. That's no problem, Nix, you know. It sounds like this has been a good interaction, right? The best interaction would be for you to go vegan, but it sounds like you're on your way, and that's as much as I could ask for. That's as much as the animals could ask for. Ella, if you think animals deserve respect, which you did say, eating their bodies is not respectful, right? If you were an animal and someone was exploiting you to eat your body, would you feel respected? Would you feel like it's justified when it's not necessary? When you could eat something else and you don't need to? So, see you later, Nix. So, do animals deserve respect? Well, I've had 27 votes on the poll. 74% of you agree that animals deserve respect. So, if you think they deserve respect, is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk, or their eggs? So we're here today in Guildford, outside a slaughterhouse, exposing reality of what's happening to these non-human animals, talking about them, you know, talking about how it's not necessary for us to do this. How do you justify murdering an animal that doesn't need to die? How do you justify significantly shortening their lives? How do you justify exploiting their lives when none of it's necessary? You don't need to do it. It doesn't need to happen. This girl's covering her face, I'm not sure why. Jack, we've got another Jack in the chat. How's it going? Do you think animals are deserving of respect? I'm here outside a slaughterhouse today. So there's a girl walking past just covering her face. I don't know if she doesn't want to see us or if she doesn't want to see the slaughterhouse. Unsure. You won't read my comment because you know the stats, right? Aussie258, I'm reading your comment. What stats are we talking about? I'm here outside a slaughterhouse talking about animals, talking about how they're exploited, how it's unjustifiable, how it's morally wrong, and asking the question, do you think animals deserve respect? Oh, okay, there's a truck coming. So we've got some animals now coming in. There's a truck.
Oh yeah, there's a truck coming. We're just truck coming through now. There's a truck coming through now full of cows.
It looks like it might be empty. So we can't see any animals in there at the moment.
But this will be, yeah, there's all of those animals.
So there you go.
There right now.
Just see the truck go in. I'm assuming it's cows because it usually is here, right? They're about to go to their slaughter. Just about to see their ears. It's just so wrong. Doesn't need to happen. We don't need to be doing this. They don't need to die. Well, Aussie258, I'm guessing you're not in the chat anymore. I guess you just weren't willing to see the truth, you weren't willing to understand, you weren't willing to see it from their perspective. So, do animals deserve respect? That's the question we're asking today. We're outside a slaughterhouse. Exposing the reality of what's happening here. Oh, you're here? Aussie258. What are your comments then? What are your stats? What stats do you have to provide for me?
And it's not just happening. This isn't just.
Do you think animals are deserving of respect? I'm waiting for you to read my comment. I'm reading your comments. You've not said anything else other than what you said here. Right? Yeah, I can see all your comments. Scroll back. I can see all your comments. Your first comment is you won't read my comment. So, yeah, hello mate, you're right. You slopped me. I don't know what you're talking about. So there's cows right now coming off that truck, about to go to their slaughter. How do we justify this? Is this morally okay? And so here comes the smell. Misspell. Ozzy, what are your stats? Do you think animals are deserving of respect, Ozzy? You know? Is it respectful when you consume their flesh, their milk, their eggs? Would you feel respected if that was you in their position? Would you feel respected if that was you, who was having your life dictated, being told when and where you can go, how to live, being sent to your slaughter, your life prematurely ending? So, like I said, I'm outside a slaughterhouse today, here in the UK, raising awareness about what happens to these animals, exposing the truth, talking to people about their actions and about how they justify this through paying for it, how they justify it through their taste pleasure, for their own selfish needs, when it's not necessary. It's not necessary for us to do. It's not fair, bro, but it's all part of our service. Servial? I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Ozzy, there. It's all part of our service, so you're saying that it's normal because it's something we do? But it doesn't need to be part of our service, right? I'm not sure what word you meant to use there, but this doesn't need to happen. There's no justifiable reason for us to do this, right? There's no moral, it's not moral in any way to needlessly kill an animal. I'm not here to dish you. Yeah, I'm not saying you are, Ozzy, and I'm here to talk about these animals, right? I'm here to get people questioning their actions, get people to ask themselves these questions, because it wasn't until I started asking myself these questions that I decided to change, right? You need to consider what's actually happening here. Like, what are we doing? We're raising animals in the millions, billions, and we're exploiting them in the billions and killing them, murdering them in the billions. We're just, we're showing violence to these animals, we're showing abuse to these animals in the name of food, in the name of animal testing, in the name of entertainment, and none of those reasons justify it, right? It's not justifiable, any of those actions. So we have cows that are currently going into the slaughterhouse now as we speak. Their lives coming to an end just for our own selfish needs, our own selfish desires, and there's no justification for it. We don't need to be doing this. These animals don't want to die, and they don't need to die. So the only way to change that is from your own actions, right? Change starts with yourself. If you don't want these animals to suffer, if you think animals deserve respect, then show them respect. Show them the respect they deserve, and don't exploit them. Don't needlessly harm them, don't needlessly kill them, and let them live, right? Live in harmony with the world, and don't destroy it, don't exploit it. I understand that, and I understand that it is inhuman to cut. Inhumane? Is that what you mean, or are you trying to say that's what humans do? I'm going to assume you mean inhumane, and it is inhumane to cut an animal's throat, right? What does humane mean? Humane means compassion. Humane means love. How do you slit the throat of an animal through compassion and love? Exactly, Ozzy. It is wrong. But are you vegan, Ozzy? If you think this is wrong and you're not vegan, then unfortunately you're part of it, right? You are condoning this behaviour. You are supporting the needless killing of innocent animals. So the only way for you to be in alignment with those feelings, those values, you think it's wrong, the only way to be in alignment with that is for you to not pay for their exploitation, right? It's to not participate in this system. And the only way to do that is to be vegan, because veganism is about not exploiting other animals, right? Not needlessly exploiting them for your own needs. Exploitation, being used to someone for their resources for your own needs. And they're not needs, they're just desires, you know? You don't need to eat these animals, you don't need to wear these animals. We have many other choices. But it's just so wrong. So the truck's empty. All the animals are now out, I believe. Starting to leave. No, or not. So, we're talking about exploitation. We're talking about non-human animals. I'm outside a slaughterhouse here in Guildford. Do you think animals are deserving of respect? Is the question I'm asking today. Another person who thinks we're a wanker. Another person who thinks it's okay to abuse animals. How to call someone a wanker over not wanting to do something, over not wanting to exploit animals. That's good of you to admit, Ozzy. Most people won't admit that. You are part of the problem without realising it, right? And I was too. Many years, you know, it wasn't until I was 26 when I went vegan. And before then, I used to think vegans were weird. I was like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you eat meat? I like meat. But it wasn't until it was like, hang on, like, I saw what was happening as someone that thought they were an animal lover, as someone that thought they cared about all living beings. Once I saw what I was actually doing, I couldn't continue to support that, you know? Once I realised that I was supporting this and I was part of this problem, I had to change. And I did, right? I did change. And you can too, right, Ozzy? So you obviously understand that compassion's there in your heart, that love's there in your heart. So now you need to just connect with that and live through that love. So what would be things, what do you suggest we do eat if we don't go vegan? What do you suggest we do if we don't go vegan? Well, so, I mean, first, veganism isn't just a diet, right? Veganism is about exploitation of all animals. So whether that's for their skin, for animal testing, for zoos and aquariums. The diet, of course, is a big part of it, but that is a diet and not a moral philosophy. But what do I suggest we eat if we don't go vegan? I don't know what you mean by that. Maybe you're asking, what do you eat if you do go vegan? Right, you can eat the same things you always eat. If you have eggs for breakfast, you can have tofu for breakfast. You know, if you eat chicken for dinner, you can eat seitan for dinner. You can have TVP for dinner. You can have lentils and beans for dinner. You know, you don't need to have these animal products. If you like eating lasagna, you use a plant-based mince. Use a plant-based cheese. You know, these things are all possible. We don't have to limit ourselves just because we decide to stop exploiting animals. We can still enjoy everything that we already enjoy, and the benefit is that these animals don't have to be exploited. The benefit is that you'll no longer be a hypocrite and you'll live in alignment with your values. You know, that compassion and love that you feel will be, you know, you'll be living true to that. So, but Ozzy, I guess the question is what's stopping you now then? What's stopping you from being vegan today? What's the present moment? All change happens now. You can change now. You need to support this. Nothing. Amazing, Ozzy. Do it. Watch Dominion. Go onto YouTube now. Search Dominion. Watch what happens inside one of these slaughterhouses. You know? That was enough for me to change. Once I tried to watch it, I couldn't even watch it, right? I watched it for a couple minutes and I couldn't watch what we were doing to them. And that was enough for me to change, right? If I can't watch it, then how can I eat it? How can I justify it? You know? How do we like justify this? So I'm not sure if I stayed live during all that, but I was just typing text. So vegan now then, Ozzy. How many more animals need to die? How many more animals need to be exploited for you going forward? You know? Is it 0 or is it more? Ozzy, that's the best thing you could have said to me. That's amazing to hear. You know? It's not right for any animal to be slaughtered. Exactly. There's no justifiable reason. We don't need to slaughter these animals. And it's not just that though, right? We don't need to exploit their lives. It doesn't need to happen. And that's amazing, Ozzy, that you've made that connection. I love that. I love to see that. I'm going to screenshot that, please. That's great. But one thing I will ask you to consider, not just about the consumption of these animals, yeah? Veganism is about exploitation on a whole, yeah? So this is exploiting animals altogether. So that's not just food, that's also the skincare products you buy, shampoo, moisturizers. These things are tested on animals, right? And they don't need to be. You can choose things that aren't tested on animals. Zoos, aquariums. These things are prisons for animals, right? We lock these animals up in confinement for our own entertainment. And you don't need to support them either, right? So, Ozzy, it's amazing. I'm so happy to hear you say that. And I hope you're true to that word. And I hope for the animals that you are true to that word, and they will be grateful for that decision you've made today. Yeah, I'm here to learn. I hear you, brother. Thank you for treating me as a person. I mean, that's all right, Ozzy, mate. We are all people. I wouldn't treat you any other way. But thank you for treating the animals as individuals, right? Most people don't treat these animals as individuals. Most people want to remain ignorant to them, and they don't want to know. So, thank you. Hello, Nix. Welcome back. Okay, let's get a screenshot here. You was just in our stream. So Amelia, that's Amelia who I'm with today. She's also here. Let me show you who she is. There's Amelia and her partner. So they're part of Project Livestream. We're all here today. And there's other people at other slaughterhouses around the UK. Just all exposing this truth together, right? Trying to get as many eyes on the animals as we can. You know? It's important to raise awareness. It's important for people to understand. Because people don't know, right? These industries, they keep this information away from us. For good reason, right? Because if they didn't keep this information away from us, most people wouldn't eat it, right? Most people wouldn't support it. I mean, I could tell her I don't think it's necessarily important. She's had to deal with a ton of rude people. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, there are lots of rude people, right? There are lots of trolls. Last time I streamed, I had to deal with a lot of that. Today, it's been alright, actually. Some people call her an idiot. Well, go defend her, mate. She's obviously not an idiot, but these people that call her an idiot, you know, they don't like what they're hearing, right? They don't like what they're seeing, so they have to deflect. They've got to deflect their feelings onto others, right, and not take accountability for their actions. Marin, welcome to the chat. Marin C977. I'm outside a slaughterhouse. We're exposing the truth, what's happening to these animals. We're asking the question of, do animals deserve respect? Is it possible to respect animals when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs?
We aren't lions.
What's happening?
We've got a lot of meat emojis
It's
in
popping
the
off.
chat. I'm a panther. Oh my god, that's badass.
You're a panther.
What do you think about pineapples? Don't know.
There's a lot going on in your chat.
You got wolves? I'm in Minnesota. How's it going in Minnesota right now?
What's this person bang on about?
Oh, I don't know. The reason I don't reply to everything in chat is I want to keep bringing the back of why I'm here.
Yeah.
So I try not to.
Yeah.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? That's a good one. I found a point you can't argue. Who am I? KB. What's the point? Please say it again. Let me know.
I mean, this isn't about finding points that you can't argue with, right? We're talking about points that you can argue with, right? Or not, you can't argue with. No, we are here talking about points we can't argue with, right?
Yeah.
There are animals here that are being exploited when it's not necessary. You know, none of this needs to happen. There's no justifiable reason. Hello, Nix. Nix was in my chat.
Yeah.
He said he was coming here to back you up.
Let's go. Don't misidentify me. I'm a wolf.
Okay. Don't needlessly exploit animals.
Don't need this exploit animals. Tell this man to move away. No, he's one of my
I'm part of the stream.
friends.
I'm on the stream today.
So
We've got people streaming.
We're part of Project Livestream today.
Morning, Dale.
There's a bunch of animal rights activists all over the world.
Do you think animals are deserving of respect, Dale? I'm here outside a slaughterhouse, trying to expose the truth, right? Getting people to question their choices and how their actions affect others, right? Violetta, welcome to the chat. I'm here in the UK outside a slaughterhouse. We're talking about, do animals deserve respect? You love cats, Violetta. Amazing. Of course I do. I love cats. I mean, I love all animals. But love for all animals isn't required for you to not exploit them. But think about that love that you have for cats, Violetta. Ask yourself, does that love extend to other animals, right? What is the moral difference between a cat, a cow, or a pig? You know? Me too. Amazing. Are you vegan, Violetta? That's the question, right? Do you think animals deserve respect? You don't know, maybe. So no, then is the answer. If you don't know, then you're not vegan. That's okay at this current moment, but let's delve into that, right? But you do respect animals. Okay, so you're not vegan, but you respect animals. So the question is it possible to respect animals when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs, when you wear their skin? I imagine you probably go to zoos or have been to zoos. Is that respectful, you know? Would you feel respected if it was you who was being exploited? If it was you who was having your life dictated for your flesh? Is that respect? You said yes, I'm not sure what that was in relation to, but you think that's respectful when we consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? Then how is that respectful? I'll give you a chance to talk because I've just talked to you there. I'll let you respond, but yeah, we're outside a slaughterhouse. We're talking about non-human animals. There's no justifiable reason. That's disturbing. It is disturbing, right? These animals, we show extreme violence to these animals. We slit their throats, we push them into gas chambers, and we don't need to do these things, you know? I know factory farming is bad. Well, regardless of factory farming, right? Factory farming is bad, but it's all exploitation, right? Exploitation is bad. Exploiting others for your own means when it's not necessary. How do you justify it, right? The factory farming process is terrible. The slaughter is terrible, right? They are sent to slaughter. They are murdered. These animals don't want to die. Well, maybe the animals do want to die, right? Because of the conditions that they're kept in. But regardless of whether those conditions are good or bad, however you justify that, you know, like, if the conditions are good, then how much of a betrayal is that you provide them with this good life, and then you send them to slaughter before their life is over? Milk gives you calcium for your bones. Yeah, there is calcium in milk, Violetta, but that milk isn't for us, right? That milk belongs to a baby cow, to a calf, right? Why do cows produce milk? The same reason humans produce milk, right? They are mammals. All mammals produce milk for their babies, not for us to take. So calcium is in milk, but do you need to drink milk to get calcium? No, you can get calcium from other sources, right? We have tofu. I believe lentils have calcium in, oats. We can get fortified milks and things that have calcium in. We don't need to exploit a mother and steal her milk. I'm not vegan, but I just eat meat, milk and dairy and respect animals. So Violetta, just first things first, veganism isn't a diet. Veganism is about not exploiting animals. You know, the diet aspect is obviously a part of it, but that's like essentially being plant-based. Hello, man, Steve here. Hello mate, you alright? Wow, so here come the cavalry today.
Hey guys, the animals are already been taken inside here today.
God, they're bringing the energy, definitely.
Shit and piss because animals are petrified for their life.
So
they have an autonomic nervous system and a somatic nervous system.
it's got serious.
Which means that their intestines
Anyway, Violet, what was I saying? So, but is that respectful, right? If you were an animal in that position, if you were, you know, having your life exploited, would that feel respectful? Would you feel respected? God, I fucking love these guys. Hello, mate. Hey, what's your name?
David.
David, you the 40-year-old vegan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen your face, I recognise you.
I'm that guy.
Well, so Mel and Steve have just turned up and we've got the 40-year-old vegan here. Bringing the energy.
Why do you see these dairy cows' mums?
Amazing. Fuck, I love these guys. So Mel and Steve have just got a letter. Can you say animals are like humans? I mean, yeah, like what similarities do humans and animals have, right? We have eyes, ears, hearts, lungs. We feel, we know pain, we know love. We have wants and dislikes. We can have families. We have brothers and sisters, mums and dads, and souls. Exactly, Violetta. You're not vegan, right? So you don't respect these animals. The only way to respect these animals is to be vegan, right? If you're not vegan, then you're not respecting these animals. But is it respectful to send them to slaughter? Is it respectful to dictate their lives? Is it respectful to take their children from them? Would you feel respected if that was you? If you were a mother and I don't send them to slaughter, but you pay for their slaughter. When you pay for their slaughter, when you pay for their bodies, you support their slaughter, right? You know, you send them there. If you didn't pay for that, then it wouldn't happen. If no one paid for them to eat them, you say they take care of them, but they send them to their death. They send them to be murdered. And we don't need to do it, right? These things don't need to happen. No, they don't. Then what do they do with these animals? They just look after them and keep them for 20 years,
It's like a world that we're living in right now.
you know?
Shame, shame, shame on this industry. Shame.
This is amazing. We've got a whole posse of people here right now. So they're just definitely bringing the power. Feed them, take eggs, they can't grow chicks. Yeah, but why do you feed them, right? They're being fed for your own purpose, right? Just like all of us, we are like animals in the wild. They would get their own food, right? They'd be capable of going out and getting their own food, right? We're just needlessly exploiting these animals, and it's not necessary to keep them alive, though. But it's for our own selfish reasons, right? We're keeping them alive to exploit them. We're keeping them alive so you can take things from them that we don't need to take. You know, it's respect. You say animals deserve respect, but when you rob their eggs, when you rob their bodies, there's no respect there. Would you feel respected? I wouldn't feel respected. Without a doubt, I would not feel respected. You know? They have their hopes and they have a lot of space to walk. But then they're murdered. You know? Chickens live for around 6 weeks. Pigs for around 4 months. Excellent, Ozzy. Glad to see you're still here. We've got some more activists here. Mel and Steve are here. These are the people that start this movement. They're why I'm here today. And they have such a powerful message to share. It's bringing the energy. So, do animals deserve respect? How do you know who is that vegan teacher? So this is Mel and Steve. I don't know who the vegan teacher is. That vegan teacher. I'm not sure who that is. Oh wait, we've got the 40-year-old vegan here. We've got Mel and Steve here, but I don't know who the vegan teacher is. No. But you know, any questions, please ask, because that's what I'm here for, right? I'm here to talk about the reality of what's happening to these non-human animals. I'm here to show people the truth. I just love you guys. Mel and Steve are really bringing the energy at the moment. They're also live streaming. Everyone here is live streaming. So, do you think animals deserve respect? And if you think animals deserve respect, is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? This doesn't need to happen. How do you justify exploiting other animals, especially when we don't need to? We have other choices. Their bodies are theirs. We don't need to consume them. What do you think? If people don't buy meat, that meat factories stop working? Well, then that's fantastic, right? We don't want these places to operate because they operate on murder. They operate on violence. These go against our values as human beings, right? Our values are against murder and against violence. If someone is murdered, if people are violent, then we don't stand for that, right? These people go to court, they go to jail. We don't allow these things to happen, right? But why do we allow this to happen to animals? Why do we allow animals to be murdered? Why do we allow animals to be imprisoned when they've done nothing wrong, right? What's the difference? What is the moral difference between these two actions? I'd love for the meat factories to stop working, because then that means animals aren't being needlessly exploited, needlessly killed. So, do animals deserve respect? And if you think they do, then is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? God, I love the Mel and Steve here. They bring such a positive energy, such a powerful energy, such a strong voice for these animals. So, I'm outside a slaughterhouse here today. I'm here with other vegan activists. We're exposing the truth of what happens to these animals. We're live streaming this so people can know the truth. I've noticed you've gone quiet, Violetta. I imagine you're either not here or maybe you're not sure what you can say, right? Some questions to ask yourself, you know, if you think animals are deserving of respect, is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? Amazing. In the dairy industry, mother cows are pregnant with false condoms. Guys, double tap that screen. Number one in the comments if you're vegan. Number two if you're open minded if you're vegan. You guys bring the energy every time. If you're one of those absolute losers who love animal abuse and murder, you need to be looked up. Amazing. So, Mel there, spitting the truth, right? Letting people know the reality. These animals are being exploited. These animals are being murdered. They're being shown unreal violence, right? They're being impregnated and having their babies taken from them when we don't need to do it, right? It doesn't need to happen. We can't justify it in any way. How do you justify what we're doing? They're bred for food. Deal with it. Welcome to the chat, Mr. Borat. So deal with it. I mean, this is me dealing with it, right? Why are they bred for food? Does that morally justify what we do to them? Does that justify exploitation? If you were bred for food, would you feel like that's okay? Would you say just deal with it? Because it doesn't need to happen, right? We don't need to breed these animals for food. We don't need to do any of what we do when we have other choices. This is me dealing with it, right? I'm dealing with it by coming to a slaughterhouse and exposing the reality of what happens, right? Talking to people like you, getting people like you to question your actions, right? And to try and justify them. Because how do you justify them? Because you cannot justify it. It's not morally justifiable. They die in nature where it stops moving and it's old and bugs start to eat it and last with that pain for 1 month. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Violetta. Animals do die in nature, right? But that's how we all die. Everyone will die, but we're talking about this needlessly killing, right? These animals aren't just dying of natural causes. These animals are being sent to slaughter, and quite often they're still considered children, right? They're still babies when these animals are sent to slaughter. These animals, they are, you know, a few months old when they can live for up to 20 years, right? They're killed within the first year of their life.
You don't understand it.
It's painful? What's painful? When they die of natural causes? Is that what you mean?
27 lives.
But that's besides the point, right? We're talking about exploitation here, right? It's not about, you know, the fact that they're killed at all is the issue, right? They are murdered, and it doesn't need to happen, right? We kill animals in the millions every single day, every minute. Animals are being killed in the millions, and it doesn't need to happen, right? There's so much suffering that isn't necessary, right? So, got people driving by, exposing people to reality. This is a slaughterhouse in here. I love that sign, the mail's carrying. This is a slaughterhouse. Animals are murdered here. Animals do lose their lives here. So, I'm outside a slaughterhouse. We're asking the questions. Do animals deserve respect? You know? Is it respectful to send animals to slaughter? Is it respectful to exploit them? Is it respectful to exploit them for their resources? To take their milk, to take their eggs, to take their skin, to imprison and them in zoos, to test on them, to steal their feathers for clothes. Is that respect? Would you feel respected? I don't think you will. Again, if people have questions in the chat, please ask. Right, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm here for today, is to answer these questions, is to expose the truth of what's happening. These animals are being exploited and it's not necessary. We pay for murder. We support these industries. Ask yourself the question, is this okay? Does this feel justified? What is morally right about this? We're here to educate people. So do animals deserve respect? That's the question we're asking. We've had 38 votes on the poll of do animals deserve respect? 71% of people do believe that animals deserve respect out of the 38 votes, and you know, most people do. But it's about aligning those values with that respect, right? We don't align our values with our actions. We don't align our actions with our values, right? We just continue to be ignorant of what's happening. We continue to not show the reality of what's happening. Sir, hello Violetta. We continue to exploit these animals when it's not necessary. No Violetta, I don't. I mean, most people don't kill animals, but most people pay on the behalf of killing the animals, right? So I kill plants, yes, if that's how you define plants as being killed. But that's just a deflection at the end of the day, right? Does me consuming plants justify the killing of millions of animals? They have a soul too. Well, I think there's quite a justifiable difference between a plant and an animal. Plants don't have brains. Plants don't have a central nervous system. Plants don't necessarily react to stimuli, right? If we want to talk about plants, and if you truly cared about plants, Violetta, you also consume the same plants I do. And you also consume animals that consume plants. So, while this is just a deflection from what you're doing, if you truly cared about plants, then you will consume less plants by not eating animals. Because those animals require a significant amount of plants to be raised and survive. So that argument there is no argument there. If plants do or do not feel pain, I think there's a significant difference between that and an animal. There's a significant difference, and it's a silly argument. It's just a deflection from yourself, right? It doesn't justify what we do to them. It doesn't justify killing them in the thousands, in the millions, every single day.
We want more people speaking out. Is that a truck?
Yeah. There's a truck coming. So we've got animals coming now into their slaughter. So we got more cows. That's what you pay for, Violetta. That's what is being supported. When you consume these animals, when you pay for them, there they go. They go to their slaughter. They go to their death. Their exploited lives coming to an end for this end product. Where is the love and compassion in sending someone to slaughter that doesn't need to die. Obviously, Violetta, that is not true. You're just trolling at this point. You don't want to face the reality of what you're responsible for. You are complicit in this. So, I'm Miki. Okay, whatever your name is. Aussie, yes, there were living animals. I don't like to use the word livestock. Livestock implies that they are just a commodity, something that people own. They are individuals. You know? They all have lives. They're sentient. They have likes and dislikes. They have a mind. They have a heart. But yeah, there they are getting backed in now. I'm not sure, it's hard to see the animals, but there they are now being backed into the slaughterhouse, where they will have their throats slit and their lives will be ended. They'll be murdered. We'll all be dead. Yeah, we will all die, Violetta, but most of us will live a full life. Most of us will get to choose the life we live, whereas these animals don't. Right? We take their lives, we exploit their lives, and they get killed significantly earlier than they need to, right? They don't need to die. They don't need to be murdered. Little odd. It is odd. Why do we raise millions of animals to kill them when we don't need to? It doesn't need to happen. We have choices. We can eat other things. We don't have to exploit these animals. We don't have to eat them. But we don't have to, Violetta. They're individuals and they don't need to die. We can eat, rather than eating animals, you can eat lentils, tofu, beans, seitan. We have a myriad of options. And you don't need to exploit these animals. You say you love animals. Vegan meat, I think it's an animal. Why do you focus on being at a slaughterhouse when you can be a zoo fighter for animal rights? Well, chillsy. I mean, I'm here now today at a slaughterhouse. I have been outside aquariums before. I do outreach in the streets, right? There are many avenues. I'm outside a slaughterhouse because that's, you know, one of the biggest exploits of animals, right? For food. Food is where the animals are exploited the most. And that's why I'm outside this house today. I'm part of Project Livestream. This is a group of us where we try to get as many people outside slaughterhouses live streaming to expose the reality of what's happening, to, you know, get eyes on what's going on. We're here today with other activists that are also live streaming.
How dare you? How dare you?
And we don't need to do this, right? We don't need. There's no justifiable reason for us to do this.
Yeah, it actually does.
So,
Local neighbor.
what can I do here?
Actually does. You can turn a blind eye on it. You can say, oh,
Your dad works at a muncher store? Do you mean? I don't know what you are. Is that a butcher? Did you mean a butcher? So your dad is a butcher? Your dad chops up the body parts of innocent animals? Do you agree with that? A butcher? Yeah, there's a T in there as well, but it's okay. Is that respectful? You know, you said that animals deserve respect. Is that respectful? Would you feel respected having your body chopped up into pieces to be sold for profit? Definitely not. Chill, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but do you think animals deserve respect? Are you vegan? I'm assuming not.
You're vegan already. Hit one in the chat.
But yeah, do animals deserve respect? And is it possible to respect them when we continue to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? He keeps a roof over our heads. Yeah, and I do understand that's important, right? But he can do that without exploiting other animals. That can be done without, you know, dictating other animals' lives. He can get another job doing something else, right? He could work in a grocery store and he could sell fruits and vegetables, right? He doesn't need to sell the body parts of murdered animals. And your mum's a vet. I mean, Violet, I feel like at this point you're just making things up. But again, if your mum's a vet, right, then she understands that animals are worthy of love, right, and care and attention. But if she consumes animals, then how does she justify that, right? How, in one hand, can she support life and show love, but on the other hand, be responsible for murder, right? Be complicit in the exploitation of these animals and the suffering that they go through. So we're here outside a slaughterhouse. We're talking about animals and whether or not they deserve respect. We're showing the reality of what happens at these slaughterhouses. I'm here with other activists today.
As always, such a supporter of everything you're doing here and all the activist community. Renee's coming here, the relationship between you and the world is a completely different one once you're vegan.
Here we have lots of activists, people that do care, people that have opened their hearts and shown compassion.
When you lose that hypocrisy, it's such a refreshing thing.
If you're not vegan, then how can you truly respect animals if you think they deserve it? Veganism is the only way to truly respect animals, because what is veganism? Veganism is about not needlessly exploiting other animals. You know? We don't need to exploit these animals. We don't need to take their autonomy. We don't need to take their lives. It's not necessary for us to do it. So how do you justify it? Welcome to the chat, Jimmy Jazz. Meat is murder, exactly. Animals don't want to die. You know, animals don't want their lives to end. Animals want to be free just like us. But is it tasty? Does taste dictate, is taste more important than life? Does the sensory pleasure of one individual human justify the killing of another animal? I think the answer is obvious, and the answer is no. Well, you say yes, Violetta, so you don't respect animals. You're a hypocrite, and you don't live in alignment with your values. Animals don't need to be murdered for a taste. If I was to ask you what you had for lunch last week, would you even remember, right? Would you even remember what you ate for dinner 2 weeks ago? You know, that animal in that meal gave their whole lives for your meal that you probably don't even remember anymore, right? That you've forgotten all about. So it's not justifiable, right? You don't know. Exactly. You don't know though. You know, there's an animal's individual life there. Fucking stinks of shit all of a sudden. It smells really bad here at the slaughterhouse. Animals are literally dying right now and being murdered unnecessarily. And the smell is horrible. Yeah, I'm alright. You alright? Hello. You come with the energy and I love it. How many views you got? 470, wow. I haven't got many today. Just two. So, yeah, I'll just keep going, yeah, exactly. But I've had a couple of people say they're going to go vegan. So it didn't happen last time. So yeah.
Less people
Let's have more conversation, yeah. So where are we? Violetta is still here. Miki, whatever the fuck you want to be called. Yeah, I mean, there's probably not much point us continuing this conversation because you want to continue to be a hypocrite. You want to continue to argue that, you know, what you're doing is justifiable. So, you know, leave the stream, I guess. Like, this is unfortunately reality. You pay for this, you support this. You are responsible for animal abuse. You know? Imagine if they were cats. You said you love cats. What if we were eating cats? What if we were raising cats for their consumption of their bodies? What if we were stealing cats' kittens from them and taking their milk? Would that be justified? Is that respectful? So, 6 people in the chat. Do animals deserve respect? We're here outside a slaughterhouse today. We're just showing the reality of what happens to these non-human animals. These animals are exploited, these animals are murdered. Do you think animals deserve respect? And if you did, it's obvious there. Would you feel respected if it was you who was being consumed for your flesh, your milk and your eggs?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Probably not, right?
That's not being vegan. Being vegan is understanding.
They're just like the energy they bring. So, welcome to the chat if you're here. Want to hear a nice word from Serbian? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure, Violetta. If you have any questions, obviously ask. But I'm here outside a slaughterhouse today. We're talking about if animals deserve no respect, and we're exposing the truth, right? These animals are being sent to be murdered, to be slaughtered, when it's not necessary for us to do so. How do you justify it? If you think animals deserve respect, is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? If you think yes, then I'd like to discuss how you think that's possible. Yeah. These animals don't want to die. These animals don't need to die. These animals don't need to be exploited. If you care about animals, if you love animals, if you think animals deserve respect, then you're living not in alignment with those values, because when you pay for them, when you pay for their flesh, their milk, their eggs, when you go to zoos, when you buy products that are tested on animals. This is what veganism means. Veganism isn't just a diet. Veganism is a plant-based diet, but plant-based doesn't mean that you don't go to zoos, doesn't mean that you care about products being tested on them, doesn't mean you care about wearing an animal's skin, right? And these are all things that are important. These are all things that are exploitation, right? These animals are exploited for their resources, for our own needs, when we don't need to. Correct, Ozzy. Glad to see you still in the chat. But yeah, all animals should have rights. And people might argue that animals do have rights, but they don't, right? We breed them into existence, we rob them of their babies, we rob them of their autonomy. Violetta, you never respected animals. It wasn't me, it was just me that exposed the truth, right? It was me that exposed the truth to you that you don't respect animals when you thought you did. All animals should have rights, all animals deserve respect, and is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? So we've got a truck leaving now. These animals have been murdered, no longer with us. It's now empty. They're all gone. The animals have been murdered.
They're always silent. No one ever comments. They're always silent. You give them a platform. I'm putting it to you that you'll bring animals here to die, and in a regulated place where the FSA have got breaches here, and you've got no comment. One in the chat.
Amazing. So we've got another truck there backing into the slaughterhouse. Those animals have just been sat there waiting. Probably scared, probably unsure what's happening. They can probably smell the death. They probably know that their end is coming. They must be terrified. It's just, I don't know how we can continue to do this, how people justify this. Do animals deserve respect? We're outside a slaughterhouse today. We're here exposing the truth of what happens to these non-human animals. We have a big group of us today. I love Mount Steve so much. There's such a strong energy. So, there's not many people in the chat. I've got one person I can see, but I'm here outside of the slaughterhouse in the UK. We're showing the reality of what happens to these non-human animals. Do you think animals deserve respect? Is it possible to respect animals when you continue to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? Die, they don't need to be slaughtered, they don't need to be murdered. How do you justify it? How do you justify taking their children, taking their babies, breeding them into existence when we don't need to? So, do animals deserve respect? It's hard to continue talking when the chat's a bit slow, but like, just showing the truth here. So there's another truck come in here. Aww.
Slow down, you fucking idiot! Fucking poor animals shitting themselves. Poor animals shitting
Fucking wrong. So we just got some more animals, some cows that have just gone in. As you can see, there was quite a commotion there. They're trying to get in as quickly as possible because they know it's wrong. They've shut the gate on the animals. They don't want us to see the reality of what's happening in there. And why? Why don't they want us to see? Because they know it's wrong, right? They know what's happening here is wrong. How do you justify killing animals? This place is just murder. Animals are being murdered in here when they don't need to be. If you care for animals and you think animals deserve respect, don't pay for their slaughter. Don't pay to send them to these places. They don't need to be there. They just want to be free, just like you and me.
Shut the gate on the trailer. This is what the industry lengths will go to.
I love these guys so much.
Seeing the reality. Now, what are we showing you? In retrospect, what are we showing you? We're not showing you that we're being stabbed, yeah? We're not showing you any of that stuff.
It's just, how do we justify this? Welcome to the chat, people that are here. Do animals deserve respect? Is it possible to respect them when you continue to consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? If you think animals deserve respect, then show them respect. Put yourselves in their positions. Would you feel respected if you were in their position? Probably not, right? So how can you continue to pay for that? The smell here is just horrible. Animals here are being needlessly exploited, being needlessly murdered. We're here with many other activists exposing reality. We need to stop supporting these industries. If you think animals deserve respect, if you do love animals, and I mean love isn't necessary for us to not do this, right? It's just about what is morally right and wrong. How do you justify it? So, chat's pretty quiet today. We've got no views. So, do animals deserve respect? Is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, milk and eggs? So 70% of people agree that animals deserve respect. We've had 31% of people that don't. And obviously, I don't think those people are being truthful in that fact, right? These industries are just disgusting. They're built on abuse, they're built on rape, they're built on murder. And they don't need to exist, right? They don't need to happen. How do you justify needlessly killing an animal when we don't need to? Animals deserve respect. Animals do not need to be slaughtered. Animals do not need to be murdered. If you think animals are deserving of respect, is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? How do you show an animal respect when you consume them? When you exploit them? When you dictate their lives? So we've got a few people in the chat. Ask questions. What do you think about this? How do you feel about animals going to their slaughter? How do you feel about animals being needlessly murdered? This is a slaughterhouse. So I'm outside a slaughterhouse today. If anyone's wondering what I'm doing, we're outside a slaughterhouse and we're exposing the truth, right? We're talking about what's happening to these non-human animals. We're talking about murder, we're talking about exploitation. So, do animals deserve respect? Is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? So, these are questions you need to ask yourself. These are questions that you probably have never asked, right? But these animals are brought into existence just to be exploited. These animals are brought into existence just for us to torture them, right? For us to take their lives, to have autonomy over their lives, and to rob them for their resources, right? Rob them of their bodies, of their skin, to test things on them, to imprison them in zoos and aquariums. You know, what do you think? What do you people think? Being outside a slaughterhouse today, it smells. I've watched animals go in and not come out. I've seen animals on their last moments of their life today. And we support this, right? This is something we pay for. Not me personally and not the people I'm here with today, but there are many people that are, right? I'm sure almost everyone that's watched this stream today, the people that are in this chat at the moment, I'm sure you're all responsible, right? And you all support these industries.
Every single individual you see on a farm, every single individual you see on
So, we've got 3 people in the chat. Do you think animals deserve respect? This is the question. I'd love to know your opinion. love to know what you think and feel and have a talk about this. I'm outside a slaughterhouse today as part of Project Livestream, and we're talking about non-human animals and how they're needlessly exploited. How do you justify exploiting these animals? Do you think animals deserve respect? And if you think they deserve respect, then is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? So I love this energy. So there were 2 cows in there, which are no longer in there. Such great energy. So they just don't care, right? These people bring these animals into slaughter and they just don't care.
How you doing, sir?
Animals are murdered in this place, right? We're outside a slaughterhouse. The smell at the slaughterhouse is just horrible. The fact that people just live here, right? We're just down an industrial estate. You know? We've got a fucking garage. We've got more garages for cars. And then just in amongst all that, we have a slaughterhouse, right? We have animals that are having their lives taken from them. Animals that are murdered in here. Just down a normal road, you wouldn't think anything of it, right? But there are animals that are being murdered and exploited, ultimately for a meal that, you know, most of us won't even remember. Do animals deserve respect? Is it possible to respect animals when you consume their flesh, their milk, their eggs, you wear their skin? You know, if people have questions, please ask me questions. Fuck off, mate. Yeah, just there. We are eating babies. Choose compassion. Live vegan. Choose love. You wouldn't kill her yourself, so why are you paying other people to kill her? Exactly, right? So we've had people in the chat today that think that animals deserve respect, but yet they continue to exploit them. They continue to not show them respect. They live in a misalignment with their values. What time did I get here? I don't know. I think it's been 2 hours. I think we've been streaming for 2 hours. So we've been going for 2 hours. We're outside a slaughterhouse. And yeah, we're just here talking about non-human animals. We're exposing the reality of what's happening here. We have a team of passionate activists, people that care, right? We're outside the slaughterhouse today to raise awareness and to show what's happening, to show the reality, to show these animals coming to the end of their lives when they don't need to, right? These animals have been exploited and now they're being murdered. How do we justify this? As you can see, in the road on the way to the slaughterhouse, right? There's excrement on the road. We've probably got piss and shit. These animals are terrified, right? These animals are going to their murder. There's people beeping in either support or not support. Hard to know. But, you know, we all think animals deserve respect, right? Most people do. But most people don't live in alignment with that. Most people, they're not respecting animals in their actions. They continue to pay for their slaughter. They continue to pay for their exploitation. Whenever you go to a supermarket and you buy these animal products, you support these industries. You support murder, you support rape, you support abuse, and we don't need to do that. How do you justify that? How is that necessary, right? So, we're here in Guildford, outside the slaughterhouse. So this is a slaughterhouse here in Guildford. This is where animals are sent to slaughter. This is where animals are murdered, right? Animals have their lives taken from them. So, how do we justify this? How do we continue to do this? We don't need to do this. Do animals deserve respect is the question.
Alive and conscious aren't the same thing. So something can be alive but it's not conscious.
Hi Jay, welcome to the chat. Meat every time and it's all damn loose. I don't care where it's from, I'm just eating it. No, they don't have any feelings. Do you actually believe that, Jay? Do you actually believe animals don't have feelings? Animals clearly express happiness. Animals clearly express fear and pain. So I'm not sure how you justify that animals don't experience feelings, right? Have you ever had a dog or have you ever had a cat? I'm sure you've experienced that those animals do experience joy and happiness. Bro, yes, I do have feelings, but we need to eat meat to survive. I'm sure you mean eat meat to survive, but we don't need to eat to survive, right? I haven't eaten any meat for 8 years now. These animals don't need to be exploited. We have many other choices, right? We can eat other products. We can eat lentils, beans, tofu, seitan. These are all other sources of protein. So I'm not sure what's happening here. We've got a truck going in. This is a slaughterhouse here. You're a bodybuilder. So Jay, I'm a powerlifter, right? When I went vegan 8 years ago, that was one of my biggest concerns, right? Where am I going to get my protein from? Am I still going to make progress in the gym? But the answer is yes, you can. I'm stronger now than I've ever been. I'm bigger now than I've ever been. And that didn't require me to pay for the murder of animals, right? Imagine, like, really think about what you're doing, right? You're consuming dead animals so your muscles can be a bit bigger. How do you justify that? How do you, like, animals are being murdered for you to build some muscle when you don't need to? Plants provide us with all the protein necessary for us to grow. You know? If you were in the position of those animals and you were being exploited and you were being sent to your death to be murdered, to be abused, would that be justified because, oh, I'm a bodybuilder, because I want my muscles to be bigger and stronger? You know, we don't need to do this. We can eat other things. We have other choices. Like I said, Jay, I'm a powerlifter. You know, I live in the gym. Squat, bench, and deadlift is my thing. And I've got stronger and gained muscle without doing this, without supporting this. So there's no excuse really. Do animals deserve respect? And if you think they do deserve respect, are you respecting them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? Because I don't think you are, right? I don't think you can respect them when you exploit them. Exploitation is not respect. What's going on? Is he alright?
He's getting me our water from the car.
Nice.
My
I've got...
throat's really sore.
Yeah. Not you. Yeah, my chat's been quite quiet compared to last time. Last time it was like popping off, whereas today very quiet. But
Mine's the opposite. Do you want some?
yeah, I kind of. I'm a bit bored. Like, come on,
Yeah.
talk to me, you fuckers. But yeah,
Hello, everyone.
I've got some guy telling me that animals don't have feelings and that he's a bodybuilder. Oh wait, you've got no. Yeah, but you don't understand. God gave us animals to eat. I mean, did God give us animals to eat?
Where does it say that anywhere?
Yeah, where does it say that anymore?
There's nowhere in the Bible that says that.
But like, to say that God gave us animals to eat, right? Like, what kind of God would want us to just murder and exploit animals in the millions every minute of the day?
Yeah, God certainly didn't give us factory farms, you know?
Yeah. And something I always like to say is that if this is what God wants, what does the devil want? Right? God wants us to kill 220 million animals a day? Land animals? Is that what God wants? Does God think that's okay? And if God thinks that's okay, then I don't want to support that type of God. I don't want, you know, what does the devil want? If that's what God wants, you know, to not eat animals, is that in response to what the devil wants? Like, you can't put words into God. You can't tell me what God thinks, because there's no way of asking. There's no way of knowing if this God is real. And regardless of whether what this God may or may not think, it's about what do you think, you know? What do you feel in your heart? Would you be okay with, you know, if it was a human, if it was a dog, if it was a cat? I'm a Christian, that's the problem. I can eat meat, I can eat everything I can, but I want to tell you something, just wait. Okay, Jay? I'm waiting, but, you know, just because you're a Christian does not make what we do to animals morally justifiable. You know, how do you justify killing an animal, sentient being that doesn't want to die? To murder an animal that doesn't want to die? To eat an animal that doesn't need to be eaten, right? We don't need anything from an animal that we can't get from a plant, right? There's no way to justify it.
We're outside the slaughterhouse today.
So outside the slaughterhouse, there's some people leaving. I'm not really sure why they're leaving. He feels the need to cover his face. If he feels the need to cover his face, I guess that just proves that he knows what's happening is wrong. He knows that this isn't right. Still waiting for what you have to say, Jay. Still here, waiting, listening. Ask questions. That's what I'm here for, right? You didn't ask a question, Jay. I just got, do you know that? You're a Christian, and that's the problem. I can eat meat, I can eat everything, but I can, you know, yeah, I mean, you can, sure. You can, and we do, but how do you justify it, right? How do you morally justify what we're doing, you know, when we don't need to? Animals don't need to be murdered. Animals don't need to have their lives exploited, right? All right, mate? There's a slaughterhouse. This is a slaughterhouse, right? Cows. Cows, yeah. In there, yeah.
The issue with this one as well is over the last year, Food Standards Agency, who does all the checks and everything, they found indications in this slaughterhouse to shut it down. So like the animals are suffering longer than they should. The stun guns don't work properly, so they get stunned, they should die immediately, but they don't, they suffer. They've had enough violations to shut them down over the last year, but they're still open. So we're here to kind of shine a light on it, because no one even knows it's a slaughterhouse. You think it's like a factory or something?
Well, yes, we're an industrial estate,
like
right?
a car shop or something.
And there's animals being murdered in there.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing here today, and we're telling people that the only way you can avoid giving your money to companies like this is by having a vegan diet. At your next meal, you know, if you have milk in your coffee, choose oat milk.
No milk in my
No milk in your coffee. This is vegan coffee.
Nice.
Are you working around here?
Yeah, I do. I work down here.
Oh, nice.
I'm just on my break, yeah. So I did see you guys earlier when I was going to pick up a car, but I see you guys again.
You gave us a thumbs up,
I did,
I
yeah.
really appreciated
Gave you
that.
a thumbs up, so I didn't know whether you guys are still, I didn't know what it was. Earlier I thought it was news, but now I see you sell slaughterhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're just,
That's not good, innit?
we're just
No.
exposing the truth and showing the reality, right?
Are you vegan?
That's cool. No, but I'm off meat at the moment. I don't know why I am, but I'm off meat.
Okay.
What put you off meat? Just didn't feel right.
Nah. I mean, outside of obviously there's ethics and stuff. Outside of that, generally, it's I don't know. It's just my diet at the moment, at the gym and all that. But I probably, if I had someone to show me the right way to do it, I probably would.
Yeah.
To do the whole
Yeah,
vegan.
I mean, yeah, well, I'm someone that goes to the gym, right? I'm a
I do.
power lifter, so
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, in terms of going to the gym, right? Like, my biggest concerns was protein, right? Like, where do you get that from? But,
Yeah, see,
but
that was mine. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
where
of
do you
course,
get that from?
like-
If you completely
for the bulk part of it, I mean, I get tofu and tempeh. Tempeh is like a fermented tofu.
there you go. Cows.
Yeah, there's cows going in there now, but
In like 10 minutes. There's so many of these coming every day.
so there's animals going in there now. Sorry, Jay, I haven't seen what you've been talking about. I was just chatting to someone there. Okay, but do you know how many animals and insects and stuff have been killed for your kimchi and stuff like that? So, Jay, I mean, you know how many animals and insects are killed for plant-based products? You also eat those products, right? It's not just me that's eating those products. And the differences between those animals and insects that are killed is they're not exploited directly, right? I'm not scared, Jay. I was just busy having a conversation. But, you know, those animals and insects that are potentially killed in the harvesting of crops, you know, they're not a direct victim. They're not directly being exploited. And that those same things are happening when you consume animals, right? The animals that you consume, what do they consume? They consume plants, right? So those plants have to be grown, those plants have to be harvested, and, you know, it doesn't need to happen. We don't need to kill these animals, right? So if you care about the insects and things that are being murdered or killed during that process, then you can significantly reduce that harm by being vegan, because there's significantly less plants being grown, you know? We grow it. So I hope that answered your question, Jay. I mean, again, if you think animals deserve no respect, is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, milk and eggs, right? So for your bodybuilding needs, Jay, we don't need to consume animals. We can get plenty of protein from plant-based sources.
Yeah. Guys, one of the chat, if you're vegan, two of the chat, if you're not vegan, but you're open to this conversation,
So yeah, we've got some outreach happening here, which is good. And we've got other activists here. So I'm not sure if you're still in the chat, Jay, but obviously if you have any more questions, please go ahead. You're deflecting there. So what have we got here? Yeah, I mean, it's a deflection though, right? So talking about that, trying to state that I kill other animals from eating things like kimchi or things like that. Like, you also eat those things, right? And does that justify exploiting other animals? Does that justify sending them to slaughter, sending them to be murdered, right? Does it justify ending their lives? So we're here outside a slaughterhouse in the UK in Guildford, exposing the truth, talking to people about the reality about what's happening, showing that, you know, these animals are being sent to slaughter, right? These animals don't need to die, they don't deserve to die. We don't need to murder them. We don't need to exploit them. If you think animals are deserving of respect, then the only way to show them respect is to be vegan, right? What is veganism? Veganism is the moral obligation to live without exploiting other animals, right? It's not justified. We cannot justify murdering other animals just for food, or using them for our entertainment in zoos or aquariums, wearing their skin. Alf Ward, lamb is so good, but lambs want to live, right? You talk about lambs being good, I assume you mean in the taste sense, for your own selfish pleasure. But lambs don't need to die, right? You don't need to pay for their murder. Fatso, you love chicken. I love chickens too. Chickens are some of my favourite animals. They're really fun to be around and I enjoy watching them. And they don't want to die, right? Chickens are individuals. They're sentient beings. And they deserve love and compassion just like any other animals. Ozzy, I buy vegan tomorrow, what would you suggest I buy for my first meal? Well, I guess I'll ask, what do you like, you know? You can take your favourite meal and you just replace those animal products with something else, you know? If you like burritos, you can buy a vegan mince, plant-based mincemeat, and use that instead, and just make the burritos the same as you always do. Know the food? Fatso and Cool Kid Blocks. What a name. But they're not food, right? They're individuals. That food that you think you're eating is a dead body, right? That's a dead animal. It's not food. Is also one of the best foods ever made. Again, they're not food though, are they? They are individuals. Would you feel okay if it was a dog? Would you feel okay if it was a cat? And then what's the difference between those, right? So how do you justify it when it's not necessary? Are animals deserving of respect? And if you think they are deserving of respect, how do you show them respect when you consume their flesh, their milk and the eggs? Now, because we don't eat dogs and cats, but people do, right? There are parts of the world that do. And what's the difference? You know? How do you justify that? Cows are just the same. Pigs are just the same. Fish, we're all the same, right? We all have a mind. We all have hearts. We all breathe oxygen. We all have families, mums and dads. I answered everything you said, Jay. If you have any more questions, just ask me. Do animals deserve respect? You know, if you think animals deserve respect, is it respectful when you consume them, when you exploit them? Alpha, you love bacon, but pigs love to live. Pigs love to, you know, live in this world, and, you know, they want just what we want. It's to be free, it's to feel love, it's to, you know, have autonomy over our lives, right? Be able to make our own choices and do our own things. You've dissected a lamb's heart before, and how did that make you feel, you know? Is that respectful? If you think animals are deserving of respect, is that respectful to take a lamb's heart? You know? That lamb probably didn't want to die. It was very nice. Well, obviously, you don't have that compassion there, right? You're an animal abuser, and you support animal abuse. So, these things don't need to happen, right? These animals are killed in the millions every minute, every day. 220 million animals are killed, land animals, not including fish. So, you know, I'm outside a slaughterhouse today. We've got another car going in. I'm not sure where they've been or what they've been up to.
These animals are here to die for optional products, guys. This is the crazy head fuck about this. This is optional. This violence is for fucking taste pleasure. Taste pleasure. Sensory pleasure. It's for social pressure, culture, religion. No fucking bullshit, but the reality for them is that they die. They have their life taken. 1 in the chat if you're vegan, 2 in the chat if you're not vegan but you're open to this conversation while we're here, 3 in the chat if you're an arsehole who thinks you can exploit animals. Double tap the screen, like the stream, subscribe.
Jay, I read your stuff. I don't know, like, the thing is, if you don't want to be vegan, then, you know, you're an animal exploiter, right? You exploit animals, and there's no justifiable reason to do it. Do I think cows releasing methane is a good thing? Well, ultimately, no. It has a massive impact on the environment, right? Because we have so many cows. But, you know, what I don't think is a good thing is needlessly exploiting them. Is needlessly bringing them into existence. Is needlessly breeding these animals, raping these animals, right? We insert bull semen into these animals against their will, right? I think that's disgusting, and it doesn't need to happen. Like, there's no justifiable reason to do that. You know, there's no justifiable reason to bring animals into existence just to murder them and consume them. It's called breeding, not raping. So what's the definition of rape, though, Alf? Like, that is, you know, we are physically sticking our arm into a cow's anus to prepare them to be inseminated with semen, right? These cows don't consent to this. They don't consent to having a hand placed up their arse and having semen put into their vagina so they can be impregnated. That is the definition of rape. I don't know any other way to call it, you know? So these animals, they don't, yeah, because they can't talk, exactly. But do you think they would consent to it? If you were in their position and you can talk, would you consent to someone impregnating you when you don't want to be? Like, you wouldn't, right? If I was to take you and some people are full of shit. Like, it is rape, right? Let's just call it what it is. It's called artificial insemination, but, you know, we use these words to separate ourselves from it. How do I know they don't want it? Well, I guess ultimately I don't really know if they don't want it, do I? But do they? Like, would you want it in that situation? I can only think about it from my perspective. Like, you wouldn't want that. And then to top it off, right, you're then pregnant. You're going to then give birth to this baby, and once you give birth to this baby, then that baby will be taken away from you. Oh, we've got...
Yeah, you go on the speak on the guys, right now, we are here outside.
We're having a conversation here, some people on the streets not getting happy. How do you justify it, Alf, you know? We don't need to do it. If we don't need to breed these animals into existence, we don't need to artificially inseminate them, we don't need to take their babies from them, we don't need to rob these cows of their milk, you know, none of this needs to happen. Yeah, well, Alf, but that love for that meal is not justified. You know, there was an individual involved in that, an individual who had to give their life for you to consume them, and an individual who didn't want to die. You know, does taste pleasure, is taste pleasure more important than life? No, you eat meat for pleasure. You don't eat meat to survive, because you don't need to eat meat to survive. You can be healthy without the consumption of meat. What was his problem?
So they came by and I told them this is a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but we gotta eat meat. That's what they said.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, well, you don't have to.
That's what I've got right now going on. I need some meat to survive.
Oh, we got one of those,
Yeah.
right? Do you want to plug your name and who you are?
Yeah, hello. Well, I'm Pure Zelda on YouTube, but I'm an animal rights activist. I'm here today with everyone for Project Livestream. Yeah, you just had a conversation that we need meat to survive, right? But that's why we're here today, to show that we don't require meat to survive. There's no justifiable reason to exploit these animals and to murder these animals, and we don't need to do it, right? It doesn't need to happen. And the sooner we realise this, the sooner these things can stop happening in the bear, right? We've got 122 people in the chat. Yeah, it's popping off. I've got 3.
It happens at the beginning,
yeah.
right? So I used to get that as well. But you just stick with it, and sometimes people are kind enough to go over. So once again, how do people go over to your channel?
I don't know.
What's your channel name?
Pure Zelda is my channel.
Pure
there.
Zelda?
Yeah. So
Guys, go over to Pure Zelda and join him on the stream right now.
Here now.
Show some support. Hit like, subscribe to his channel. We're just out here trying to change the world a little bit and try to get animal rights for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all right. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
So Alf, I'm back. So Miki, where do you get your protein? So all protein originates from plants, right? We can get all protein from plants. So I'm a power lifter, right? I go to the gym, I lift weights. You know, one of my biggest goals, you know, well, not so much at the moment, but before, was to be as strong as I could, right? And protein is important for that. But protein doesn't need to come from animals, right? These animals that you eat, most of them eat plants, right? Chickens eat plants, cows eat plants. You know, where do like pigs eat plants? They all get their protein from them, and then you just consume them for their protein. Well, you can just skip that, right? I'm here from David's stream. Hello, mate. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're vegan or not. If you are, amazing. Oh, hello, we got another person from David's stream. We got a few people. Easy money, nice. I hope you guys are all vegan. Obviously, if you're not, then why aren't you vegan? You know, do you think animals deserve respect? And if you do think animals deserve respect, then is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs, right? If you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs, is that respect? Would you feel respected? So, I don't know, man. You're eating a strawberry yogurt. I hope that's a plant-based yogurt, right? So yogurt typically has dairy in it, but we don't need to eat dairy to eat yogurt, right? Why do cows produce milk, you know? Cows produce milk for their young, right? Cows have to be pregnant, they have to give birth for them to produce milk. And then those babies have to be removed from them for us to take that milk, right? To steal those babies' milk. Okay, nice one. I'm glad to hear it's a plant-based yogurt. But, you know, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? People like to bring up arguments that they like the taste of things, or they want that taste pleasure, but we don't have to sacrifice any of that. We can still continue to eat those same foods that we want. Oh no, I'm okay, thank you, man. You know, we don't need to do that. We can still enjoy the same foods. There are choices. Everything can be made from plants. People like to talk about God and that God brought these animals here for us, but God's provided us with everything we need without animals, if you look at it like that, right? Everything we want, we can get from plants, and we don't have to exploit animals to get that, right? We don't need to exploit animals and, you know, take away their lives, take away their autonomy, and send them to slaughter. None of this is necessary for us to survive, for us to thrive. So, you feel bad for all those animals? Yes, me too, right? We're outside a slaughterhouse where animals are being slaughtered. They're being murdered. Josh, welcome to the chat. Obviously, I don't want to eat turtles. I'm vegan. I don't believe in the consumption of animals or the exploitation of animals. Colton vegan. I'm not sure who you're talking to there, Jay. Give me 2 reasons why must I turn vegan, please? I mean, Jay, I can give you some reasons why you must be vegan. It's because animals are being exploited. Animals are being killed in the millions every day, every minute. And there's no justifiable reason to do it, you know? The only reason you really need is to put yourself in the position of these animals. You know, these animals that are exploited. Put yourself in their position and ask yourself, you know, is this justified? Are you happy with this? You don't need to support this. Where is the girl? I mean, there are two girls here. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Malfoy. Give me a WhatsApp number, then I will call you on WhatsApp, and then you can give me 2 reasons, and I will turn vegan. I mean, Jay, I'm giving you reasons now. I don't need to talk to you on WhatsApp. Josh, meat tastes nice. But would you feel okay if that was you in that position? You taste nice. Is it okay to, murder and eat you? Does that justify it? Is life is taste pleasure more important than life? Who was the one on the stream earlier? We've got Amelia over here. Yes, that's nature. Is nature to rape and abuse other animals and to bring them into existence? Is that nature? Is it nature to send animals to slaughter in the millions? Right? We can choose our own nature. Life is more important. Exactly, Dark. Life is more important. It don't matter in comparison, right? But again, we don't sacrifice our taste pleasures. We can continue to eat tasty and healthy food that allows us to thrive and live healthy, but we don't have to murder animals. Josh, you choose to eat meat. Yeah, but wait, what have we got here? Sorry, that's what happens in the wild. Yeah, but we're not in the wild, Josh. This isn't a natural situation. These animals are forcibly impregnated and bred into existence, and then their lives are taken from them when we don't need to. You choose to eat meat, but those animals don't choose to be exploited. Those animals don't choose to die. How did our ancestors about vegetables and vegan stuff? Again, that's something that happened in the past, right? We're not talking about the consumptions of animals when it's necessary, right? Where this isn't necessary. We don't need to eat these things. Living what our ancestors did, because all there is now. Now is the only time, and now we don't need to consume animals. Now we have choices. Now we can go to the supermarket and we can buy other things, right? Humans need meat. We are not herbivores, but omnivores. Correct, Josh? We are omnivores, right? We can survive on both plants and meat, but I mean, like I said there, we can survive on plants. We don't need to consume meat, right? This meat consumption is based on exploitation, it's based on abuse, and it's based on murder, it's based on rape. And we don't need to do any of these things. How do you justify the rape, murder and torture, abuse of other animals when we don't need to do it, right? We have other options. We don't need to exploit these animals. We eat everything. Yes, Josh, humans need meat. We don't need meat. I'm proof of that. I've been vegan for 8 years, right? Everyone here that's with me today, they've been vegan for many years, right? Jay, you say I don't understand, but I think it's you that doesn't understand me. You can't justify any of the things that you do to these animals. You can't justify paying for it, because there is no excuse. These animals suffer when they don't need to. These animals are exploited when they don't need to be. Again, Jay, you say people are too poor to even get vegetables and they must eat meat. Again, that's not true. The cheapest products in the supermarket are the vegetables, right? Lentils and beans are cheaper than dead body parts. Yeah, lentils and beans are cheaper than all these things. But again, just, I'm talking to you as an individual, right? By talking about what other people are doing, you're deflecting, right? What can you do? You have your choices, and that's the only actions you can control is yourself. I don't know, man. You're gonna go eat a salad bowl. It's excellent. I mean, personally, I know I am a vegan, and people seem to think that's all vegans eat is salad, but I don't actually like salad. I don't like salad. I'd much rather eat some oats, some rice and tempeh, with vegetables. You know, that's what I like to eat. Don't necessarily like salads. No, so dairy industry. Do I identify as a rabbit? No, I identify as a male human being. And I identify as someone that has compassion, right? Someone that isn't an animal abuser. Someone that doesn't exploit other animals. So that's what I identify as someone that respects animals, right? I mean, it's the Bay Harbour. You're glad that you're interested in streams and that you're here. This is sort of like, you know, the whole purpose of my stream is to talk to other people, is to expose the truth about what's happening. I'm outside a slaughterhouse and, you know, animals get murdered here. You know, there is extreme violence that happens here and it doesn't need to happen, right? I'm not an animal abuser just because I eat meat. Well, Josh, you may think that, but unfortunately that is the reality, right? You support animals being abused. You support their murder, you support their rape, and you support their captivity, right? They are prisoners for you. What do you mean? I'm here talking to people like you, right? There's lots of us here. We're all activists. We're getting thousands of views. You know, talking to people, individuals, exposing the truth of what's happening. You know? Well, Josh, if you believe there's nothing wrong with it, then, you know, there's not really a lot I can say. You know, if you believe animals deserve respect, which I did think you said, then, you know, you don't show them respect. So ultimately you're a hypocrite. You know? But if you believe there's nothing wrong with it, then there's nothing I can say to you, right? There's nothing I can say to you that you think it's okay that animals are, you know, having their lives taken from them. They're being exploited. You respect your cat, but you don't respect a random cow. I mean, what's the difference though? There is no justifiable difference between a cow and, like, your cat. They both just want to live. They both just want autonomy over their life. I'm already a hypocrite already, so call me names. I mean, I'm not here to call you names, the Bay Harbour, like, I'm just here to talk about what these animals go through and expose the truth, you know? Animals are being exploited when they don't need to be. You know, animals, you know, are having their babies taken from them, they're being artificially inseminated, and they're losing their autonomy for something that doesn't need to happen, mostly for a meal. Yeah, so Josh, you're going to go eat meat for lunch, but you don't need to, right? You can make other choices. It doesn't need to happen, right? When you eat that meal, think about the fact that there was an individual there. There was another living being that didn't want to die, and they had their life taken just for you to enjoy one meal. You need your iron, so just Google protein. All protein derives from plants. You can get your protein, you can get iron. Like, how do you think I'm here? Well, if you don't care, then, you know, just please leave the chat, because this isn't a conversation that I'm here to have with people that don't care. I'm here to talk about people that have compassion, people that think animals deserve respect. I mean, yeah, it's the Bay Harbour. Almost everyone is forced to eat meat by their parents, right? I grew up eating meat because that's what my parents gave me, because they didn't know any better, right? You know, your parents just feed you what they think's best, and they try to do the best by you, and they try to do the best by themselves, right? And most of the time, we aren't exposed to this. Most of the time, we don't actually know what's going on, or we turn a blind eye to it. We don't want to know, we don't want to see it, because it's, you know, it's wrong. And we know it's wrong, but we continue because ignorance is bliss, right? We don't have to feed our children dead animals. We don't have to do this, you know? There's no justifiable reason when we have other choices and we have other options. You eat rice? Yeah, I eat rice too, right? Rice doesn't involve the exploitation of non-human animals. Again, Josh, we don't have to for our health. Anything that comes from an animal can be found in a plant source, right? So we don't need to eat animals. There's no justifiable reason. Like I said, everyone I'm here with now, they're all vegan. We're all fit and healthy. We don't need to exploit animals, right? So you will get enough, Josh. Like, it's as simple as that. I've been vegan for 8 years, Josh. You know, I go to the gym. I'm a power lifter, right? I've watched my strength has like more than doubled since then. I've lifted more than ever. Yeah, so we got some more. I don't know what these guys are responsible for. Do I take pills? So I take a multivitamin, take a B12. That is the one thing that you won't get from consuming animals. But animals also don't get B12, right? We have to supplement the B12 to feed animals. So B12 would usually come from like streams and river water. It will come from, you know, it's like a microbe in the ground, in the soil. And animals don't eat that either, right? The food they're given is sterile, right? They have sterilized food. So they have to be supplemented with B12 as well. So you get your B12 through a supplement through an animal. Plants have feelings too. Yeah, does that change the fact, does that justify what you're doing? If plants do have feelings, does that justify exploiting other animals? Does that justify their murder, their rape, their abuse? And if plants do have feelings, if you truly believe that, then what do these animals that you consume eat? They eat plants, right? We grow enough plant food to feed 80 billion people. Yet 1 billion people in the world go hungry. Do I eat avocados? Do you eat avocados? It's not just vegans that eat avocados. Millions of people, billions of people eat avocados. I don't eat avocados because I'm allergic. They give me digestion issues when I eat them, so I don't eat them. You don't eat that stuff. So you don't eat anything vegan, Josh? You don't eat rice, you don't eat pasta, no oats, cereal, vegetables, legumes, like, you know, you eat cucumber, exactly. So, you know, we eat the same thing. Like 70% of your diet is vegan. It's just those animal products that you choose to eat that, you know, involve exploitation and it's not necessary. Rory Clifford, welcome to the chat. I'm here today outside the slaughterhouse, exposing the truth and showing the reality of where a lot of your food comes from. I'm here, like, we're talking about veganism. You eat a lot of eggs and meat. Well, I used to eat a lot of eggs and meat as well, Josh, right? I'd have 4 eggs for breakfast, I'd have chicken for lunch, I'd have beef for dinner, I'd drink pints of milk, you know, I'd eat all that stuff because I thought it was necessary, because I had my goals in the gym and I hadn't made that connection between these animals, right? I thought I respected animals, I thought I loved animals, and then it wasn't until I watched Dominion on YouTube. You can watch now. If you just search Dominion into the chat, into the search bar, that's what, you know, that's what changed it for me. Once I saw that footage of what happens in the slaughterhouse, of what happens to these animals, I could no longer support that, right? I could no longer continue to eat these animals. I could no longer exploit them for their fur, their skin. And it just changed for me, you know? It just changed for me.
Okay guys, so before we left, we haven't left.
So we got some more animals going in. Wow. You see there's some cows going in. Notice how they don't let us see inside. Notice how we can't even see the animals that are going to slaughter because they know it's wrong. They know it's not right. You saw the video in a slaughterhouse and they don't feel any pain. Well, Josh, I'm no longer going to continue to talk to you there, mate, because you're wrong. Right? You're so wrong. So carry on being ignorant, carry on being an animal abuser, Josh. You know, you're a hypocrite. I'm not going to continue to talk to you anymore, Josh, because we're obviously not going to agree. So I'm going to put you on a timeout, mate. Message deleted. I didn't delete it. So, I'm here today outside a slaughterhouse. We're raising awareness around what happens to these non-human animals.
Another line of shit on the way in to this slaughterhouse.
Do animals deserve respect is the question. And if you think they deserve respect, is it possible to respect them when you consume their flesh, their milk and their eggs? And that's the question we're asking today. Thank you, Han. Exactly. It's not necessary for us to kill other animals. It's not necessary for us to exploit other animals, right? So ultimately, we're not just talking about the killing of animals, we're talking about exploitation as a whole, right? So that exploitation extends beyond the food, it also extends to testing on animals, right? Testing products on animals, imprisoning animals in zoos, in aquariums, just for our own sensory pleasure. All exploitation is wrong, and unless you live vegan, then that's the only way you can really, truly respect animals. If you think animals deserve respect, then being vegan is the only way to really show that respect. Oh, it's just so sad. None of this needs to happen. But, you know, I've had people today in this chat say they're going to go vegan, right? I've had 2 people really connect with what I'm saying. And it's, you know, there are compassionate people out there. There are people that have a heart and can connect with that, connect with the animals. And if you can't do that, then, you know, you need to think about your actions and look at yourself and, you know, ask that question. Do animals deserve respect? And if they do, then can you respect them when you consume them? Can you respect them when you wear them? You know, can you respect them when you go to watch them in zoos and aquariums? So we've got excrement just come running along the floor. The animals have pissed and shit themselves on the way to slaughter. It's disgusting.
Guys, did you know in the UK or worldwide, got a lot of dairy cows sent to slaughterhouses with babies in their tummies because they're sold and how much they weigh.
And beef cows.
Weight. So they come here as pups, the babies inside their stomachs. So as they go into that slaughterhouse, they have the babies cut from them whilst they're having their head cut off, they're taken off their body. Guys, 1 in the chat, they're vegan, 2 in the chat. If you're not vegan but you're open to that conversation, 3 in the chat, if you don't care about animals.
Here's the animals going into slaughter.
Do you care? Or are you someone who just doesn't know? You have to
horrible.
educate the industry by all means and told you these humane lies, these humane bullshit.
Someone said, why are the cows so skinny?
The cows are skinny because they're dairy cows. The public don't know this stuff, right? Now, dairy cows are a different breed of cows to what's known as a beef cow. Dairy cows are exploited for their breast milk. They're skinny by nature because they've been selectively bred to literally just be milk machines. They're not. They just produce.
It's tough. It's really tough to see. Like, there's animals that are just going to their slaughter. And, you know, people are complicit in that. You pay for that, you support that. Whenever you buy these products, you are complicit in their torture, in their slaughter, in their abuse. Whether you feel like it or not, that is unfortunately the reality. And the only way for you to make changes and to not support that is to be vegan. Animals don't deserve to be exploited, they deserve better. And it requires us to be better, right?
You don't care about animals. Now, beef cows, you typically see out in the fields, they're
So-
really big now, so they can spend
We realise at a certain point in time, we should avoid this, we shouldn't do that, and we learn and we adapt and we grow. And that's what it is.
Bro, you didn't ask me, would you kill a human or an animal? I mean, I wouldn't kill either, but you must. Well, I don't know, like, would I choose a human or an animal to kill if I must? I mean, I wouldn't kill either. If I had to choose, then I'd probably choose an animal, right? I'm not trying to say here that, like animals and humans are, like, I care about one more or the other, but like, I mean, it's a silly question altogether, right? We're here talking about exploitation, we're here talking about animals that are being sent to slaughter. But you must, well, I'd kill an animal, I'm sure, right? Like, this isn't about me, not respecting humans or thinking that, that I think animals are better than humans. I mean, I'd rather eat an animal than a human, but I don't need to eat either. Like, I don't need to eat either of those things. It's not necessary. Would you rather eat a dead body or would you rather eat plants? I'd rather eat plants. I'd rather eat plants than eat a dead body. Han would rather eat a human. Interesting. I mean, I'd rather eat plants, like these high... Oh yeah, so there's another truck on the way to the slaughterhouse. Another animal about to be abused.
Guys, double tap that screen. Good morning.
reality.
It's small holdings for us. There's no slats down the floor. My foot's up, there's no strength in the back.
No, you don't, for sure.
Double tap that screen, guys.
There's another truck coming now.
Yeah, so we've got another truck of animals. I love these guys so much.
If you want to see,
So you see how fast they just drive in there, that, they don't want us to see, they know it's wrong, they want us to just get in, send those animals to their slaughter, and they don't want to be held accountable, right? They don't want to actually, they know it's wrong. They know it's wrong. Yeah, Ozzy, it is truck after truck, right? These animals are killed every day in the millions, right? I've been streaming for a few hours now. 8, 9, 10. 9, 10. I think it's 3 hours, I think I've been streaming now. And the UPS. It's just disgusting. just have these industries built on murder and abuse. Animals being exploited in the millions every single day when it's not necessary at all. There's no justifiable reason for it to happen. So
Let's go.
So that cow would have been impregnated multiple times, had the milk taken out of her, so we could drink it, and her babies would have been born
Oh,
and taken away.
fuck.
And there's not maximum milk. Because you know that cow sell its body.
Shocking to think about that. Yeah, it is, Ozzy. Oh, it's good to see you still in the chat. It's just, it's unreal, really. I just don't. It's just so much abuse and there's so much torture and so much exploitation. And it's just disgusting, really. So grateful for these guys. So that's Mel and Steve. They're the reason why I even do something like this, right? They allow this sort of movement to happen. They started this project live stream. We're gonna get as many people as we can, getting eyes on the animals. Alistair here, pleasure to meet you. Well, thank you, mate. I hope this gives you something to think about, right? I hope it makes you think about the respect that you may have for animals, and you know, do your actions align with that respect you have for animals? You know, is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk, and their eggs? And if you don't think so, then you don't truly live in line with those values. You know. We don't need this to happen. It doesn't need to. There's no justifiable excuse. What's happening at the moment? So obviously there's other activists here, all live streaming. We've got Mel and Steve. We've got the 40-year-old vegan, and we're at a slaughterhouse. Right? There's animals that they're in those trucks, and they're going to their death. That's what's happening at the moment. Every day, all around the country, around the world. Do I talk to them? Who do you mean by them? Is that the animals? So I'm not sure if you've been here when the trucks would come in, but they don't stop. They don't give you a chance to talk to them because they just fly in as quickly as possible. No, the vegans, yeah, I mean, yeah, I talk to them. I know them all personally, you know. They are friends. They are allies. I'm vegan, right? So like, we're a community. We're a group of people that have compassion, and we care enough to, you know, feel the need to get out here and talk to people and expose the truth. So. Hi Layla, welcome back. Yeah, I'm sure they are. They got hundreds of viewers, but they're just amazing. They're so inspiring being here with them. Yeah, they definitely bring the energy. They definitely bring the compassion. Bring some shit my way. Get in that chat and tell them to come in here because I need some more shit. I need some people to talk to. But, thank you, Layla. I'm waiting for the train. What's the time? Yeah, shit. Probably have to leave soon if I'm going to turn up on time, but I'm going to stay here and stream a bit longer. I've had a couple people go vegan in my chat today, which has just been amazing. Or maybe not necessarily go vegan, but at least very much going to consider it, which is amazing. It just shows that these things do work and that live streaming does have an impact. You know, whether it's like me who's getting a handful of views, or you know, it's like Mel and Steve are getting hundreds of views. So we got a truck coming out. So empty. Disgusting. Imagine that being your job. Just transporting animals to their death. It's just fuck. Like, how do you justify this? You know? Animals deserve respect, and this is not respectful. If that was you, you know, you wouldn't feel respected. It's disgusting. It stinks. It actually stinks. You know? It's just a whole industry built on murder, built on rape, built on abuse. How do we justify it?
Like they're probably hoping that like someone.
You know? If humans were to murder and abuse and rape other humans, we send them to prison. But yet, in industries like this, it's considered normal, right? It's considered normal, and it happens every day. Animals are tortured, abused, and raped just for our own selfish consumption, our own selfish needs, right? These animals are exploited. So I can only implore you to, you know, look inside your heart, have some compassion, have some love for other animals, and don't continue to exploit them, right? If you think animals are deserving of respect, then show them the respect they deserve. Is it respectful to consume their flesh, their milk, their eggs? Is it respectful to wear their skin? Is it respectful to go to zoos and to, you know, see them in captivity? Would you feel respected if you were being exploited for your flesh, your milk and your eggs? We've got lots of people driving by, people stopping, wondering what's going on, showing them that this is a slaughterhouse, and they might not even realise that's what's happening here. We're down a pretty inconspicuous industrial estate, right? We're surrounded by just garages, and we've got building supplies, you know, pretty normal stuff. And then suddenly, just here, we've got a slaughterhouse. We've got hundreds of animals being slaughtered in there, watching cows come in and not come out, watching their lives be taken, watching them go to their death. How do you justify that? We can't justify that because there's no excuse, there's no reason for us to do what we do. Animals feel pain. Animals are just like us. You know, animals, they have families, they have hearts, they have minds, they have eyes, they have ears. They breathe the same oxygen as us. Only 4. Okay, Layla, I will probably leave soon. Who's the 4th person in the queue? So, do animals deserve respect is the question I'm asking today. I mean, I've lost my poll, I missed my poll.
people are alive.
So I'm outside the slaughterhouse, for anyone that's new to the chat. Outside the slaughterhouse in Guildford. We're here exposing the truth and showing the reality of what's happening to non-human animals. The fact that they're being sent to slaughter, they're being exploited, and it's unnecessary, it's unjustified. How do you justify needlessly killing an innocent animal that doesn't want to die? Whether it's for their food or their skin, for their meat, for their bodies. We don't need it. It's unethical and it's unnecessary.
It's funny. They even get their kids to like laugh and smile as well. They're scumbags. They try and run us over. Some people have their screen up and wanting to vegan, not
You guys are just relentless, I love it. Exactly, Han, thank you for your support. There are other options. There's no excuse. And until more people realise that these animals are going to continue to suffer, and if you do think they deserve respect and you continue to consume them, then you are a hypocrite, right? You don't live in alignment with your values and you're a hypocrite. You're an animal abuser. Who have we got going to Cube, Layla? Who's the fourth person? I guess Leah, Bav, you. It's cold. So, I think this stream's going to come to an end. I've got other outreach to do. I'm going to be going to Worthing and talking to members of the public, exposing the truth to them, showing what's happening to these other animals. So, yeah, whoever's still in the chat, whoever's here currently, you think animals deserve respect, then you need to truly think about that. Show them respect. Oh, and me, I'm the fourth, I see. And be a hypocrite. Live in alignment with your values, and thank you, Han. Yeah, I'll be doing another project live stream. What are these guys doing? They're just coming in and out. So yeah, have some compassion in your heart. Extend that compassion to all animals, not just yourself or your pets. Animals feel pain, animals suffer. They're just like us. They have a mind, they have a heart, they have ears, they have eyes. They breathe the same oxygen as us. And they deserve respect. And they deserve to be free, just like everyone. So yeah, thank you for your time to people that are still in the chat, and I'll be here again next time. Please go vegan for the animals. How do I turn this off? But yeah, go vegan. There's no excuse.